Ethan Cole looked out of the observation window of the small human shuttle. Below him, the blue and green planet of Earth spun slowly. It was calm from space, peaceful. Yet he knew the galaxy outside this small world was not peaceful. For decades, humans had tried to join the Galactic Council. They had sent messages, shared knowledge, offered medical help, and even warned the Council of dangers from beyond. Every time, they were ignored. Humans were young, small, and weak in the eyes of the Council, and it seemed the galaxy was ready to forget them forever. Laura Bennett stood beside Ethan, her eyes scanning the holographic display floating between them. She was quiet most of the time, but when she spoke, she had a sharp mind and a clear voice. She had studied alien languages for years and had learned to understand meanings hidden between words, the subtle shifts in tone that most humans missed. "They are mocking us again," she said softly, pointing to the council transcripts. "They do not even take our warnings seriously." Ethan frowned and leaned back. "It has been the same for years. Every time we try, they laugh. Every time we warn, they ignore. But it is not their choice that will matter in the end." Laura gave him a small look, half worried, half impressed. "You really think humanity can make them listen?" Ethan did not answer immediately. He thought about Earth, about the colonies humans had built on other worlds, and about the growing dangers beyond the known galaxy. "We have to try," he finally said. "Even if they never listen, we must show them we exist. We are not just noise in the dark. We are humans, and we will not disappear quietly." The shuttle landed softly on the council station orbiting a gas giant. The station was enormous, built from metal that shimmered in the light of distant stars. Ships from hundreds of alien races docked along its sides, each one unique, some organic, some metallic, some that seemed to float without engines. Humans had never seen so many different beings together. Each one believed it was important. Each one believed it knew the way of the galaxy. Humans, however, were young, their ships small, and their numbers tiny compared to the fleets of the council races. Ethan and Laura walked into the council hall. The room was circular, with seats rising like steps in a dome. At the top sat the council leaders, beings of immense age and pride. They looked down at Earth's representatives with thinly veiled contempt. Ethan felt the usual tension in his chest. He had been here many times, and every time he felt the same. Humans were small, laughed at, dismissed. A Vahrin elder, tall and thin with skin that shimmered like silver threads, spoke first. "Humanity has sent reports for many years. You speak of threats we cannot see, dangers we cannot feel. You expect us to act, to prepare, to risk our worlds for your fear. Why should we?" Ethan straightened. "Because it is real," he said. "Because your worlds are in danger as well. The hollow swarm is growing. It has already absorbed colonies beyond your borders. If you continue to ignore it, your systems may be next." The elder tilted its head, its long neck bending unnaturally. "And why should we believe a young world like yours? You have no fleets capable of interstellar defense. Your science is weak. Your warnings are based on imagination and hope. Perhaps it is your way of calling for attention." Laura stepped forward. "We have evidence. We have recorded transmissions from affected colonies. We have sensor data showing entire planets being consumed. You have it in your own archives if you choose to see it. The danger is real. The swarm does not care who you are, what your history is, or what your council rank may be. It destroys everything." There was a long pause. The council members whispered among themselves. Some shook their heads, some laughed quietly. One being, with skin that glowed faintly, said, "Humans, your fear is entertaining. You overestimate yourselves. You exaggerate danger. You seek a place among equals you cannot earn." Ethan's fists clenched. He took a deep breath and forced his voice calm. "We do not seek entertainment. We do not exaggerate. Our fleets are small, yes. Our weapons are few, but we understand the swarm, its patterns, its weaknesses. If you do not act, if you do not prepare, you will regret ignoring us." The council erupted in murmurs. A few younger species looked worried, but none dared speak against the elders. The Varin elder's face twisted into what might have been amusement or maybe contempt. "You are brave to speak so boldly, human. Perhaps foolish, but brave. You may leave now. We will consider your warning. Perhaps that is all you will receive." Ethan nodded. "We will leave," he said. "But know this. Humanity will continue to act, even if you do not. We will protect our own. If the swarm reaches your borders, it will be too late to say you were warned." Laura gave him a small, approving glance. "You always say the right words." Ethan shook his head slightly. "I do not know if they are right words. I only know they are the truth." The humans left the council hall quietly. Outside, the station's corridors were filled with beings of every shape and color. Ethan and Laura walked among them, unnoticed, yet fully aware that the eyes of some followed them, curious or suspicious. The council may not listen, but the galaxy was larger than the council chambers. Some beings, somewhere, might hear humanity's words and take them to heart. Back on the shuttle, Laura reviewed the data once more. "Ethan, do you think they will ever listen?" He stared out of the window at the stars, stretching infinitely in all directions. "I do not know. They have never listened before. But we will keep sending warnings, and we will keep watching. One day, the galaxy will see that humans are not to be ignored." The shuttle returned to Earth orbit, and below them, cities glowed in the night. Humans went about their lives, unaware of the council's dismissive words, unaware that the swarm was moving silently through space. Ethan and Laura looked at the planet and thought of the people who counted on them. Farmers, teachers, children, workers, engineers, and soldiers. They all depended on a human race that had grown stronger in quiet ways, learning to survive in a galaxy that did not yet respect them. Weeks passed. Ethan led Earth's first reconnaissance fleets to the outer colonies. Ships moved in careful formation, scanning for signs of the hollow swarm. Laura monitored communications, translating intercepted messages from alien systems. Slowly, evidence came in. Whole colonies had disappeared, replaced by silent metal husks, planets turned into cold machines. Ryan Lewis, a young engineer from Earth, worked tirelessly in the fleet's command center. He examined patterns in the swarm's movements, calculating speed, energy output, and possible weaknesses. His calculations showed something terrifying. The swarm was growing faster than humans had expected. If it was not stopped, it would reach council territories within months. Ethan called a meeting with the fleet commanders. "We have to be ready," he said. "We do not have the numbers to fight the swarm alone, but we have intelligence, speed, and creativity. We can prepare defenses that the council cannot imagine. We will act first, because if we wait for them, it will be too late." Laura nodded. "We should also continue sending messages. Some may finally understand. Even if the council ignores us, other races may listen and join." The commanders worked day and night, preparing ships, weapons, and communication lines. Humans moved with a sense of urgency. They were small, they were young, but they were united. They had no pride in arrogance. They had pride in survival, in ingenuity, in the determination to protect their world and their people. One night, Ethan walked alone along the observation deck of the main fleet ship. Stars stretched endlessly. He thought of the council, of beings who had laughed at humanity, and of the countless humans who would be affected if the swarm reached their colonies. He clenched his fists and whispered to himself, "They will learn. They will see what humans can do. They will not ignore us forever." Laura joined him silently. "Do you think they will ever respect us?" Ethan looked at her and smiled faintly. "Respect comes after action, not words. We will show them. That is all we need to do. Below them, Earth continued to spin, beautiful and fragile. The galaxy ignored it, laughed at it, and thought it unimportant. But humans had begun to move, to prepare, and to warn. They were no longer waiting for permission. The galaxy may not yet see their strength, but soon it would have no choice. In the quiet of space, Ethan and Laura watched as human ships left the orbit of Earth, moving outward to the unknown. Every crew member, every pilot, every engineer carried the same message in their hearts. Humanity would not be ignored. The galaxy had mocked them for too long. Now humans were ready to show that even a young, small species could stand tall when the stars themselves were in danger. The first part of the journey was over. Earth's warning had been ignored again, but humanity had taken its first step toward action. Ethan, Laura, and all of the humans preparing for what was to come knew one thing for certain. The galaxy would soon see that humans were not weak, and they would regret the day they dismissed them. The warning from Earth had been ignored, but humans did not wait. Ethan Cole and Laura Bennett returned to the fleet headquarters, where ships and crews were preparing for a mission no other species had dared to undertake. Outside the windows, stars streaked past as construction ships carried new fleets into orbit. Human engineers worked day and night, building weapons, scanning systems, and monitoring the hollow swarm, a threat that no one else in the galaxy seemed to take seriously. Ryan Lewis sat at a terminal, staring at data streams that scrolled across his screen. His eyes were tired, but he refused to stop. The swarm's patterns were unusual, not like anything humans had studied before. "It's learning," he told Ethan and Laura when they came in. "Every time we scan it, it adapts. It moves faster, avoids our sensors. If the Council waits any longer, it will be too late for them." Ethan frowned. "How close is it now?" Ryan tapped the screen. "Closer than anyone expects. It's already reached the edge of the Dorvan cluster. Some of those colonies are gone. Their signals are dead. I can't find a single survivor." Laura placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder. "We need to warn more systems. Some species may finally listen if they see what's happening." Ethan shook his head. "We warned them before. They ignored us. The Council laughed at our data. At this point, sending more messages might waste time. We have to prepare to act ourselves." In the Fleet Command Center, humans moved like a single organism. Pilots checked their ships, engineers reviewed weapons, and communication officers transmitted alerts to Earth colonies and allies. Everyone understood the stakes. Every human knew that the hollow swarm would not stop for anyone, and if humanity did not act, no one would. Laura sat beside Ethan, looking at the holographic map of the swarm's movements. "Ethan, look at this," she said. The map showed thousands of tiny points moving together, like a dark cloud consuming everything in its path. "It's not just moving, it's learning, it's coordinating attacks. Entire colonies disappear before they even have time to fight back." Ethan clenched his fists. "The Council doesn't see it. They don't understand. But we do. And we will act. Humans do not wait to be saved." Across the fleet, Ryan worked tirelessly to predict the swarm's next move. He calculated speed, trajectory, and patterns. "It will reach the Orlan systems within weeks," he said to Ethan and Laura. "If we do not warn them, those colonies will be gone too. And after that, the swarm may move toward Council space. Then everyone will finally see that humans were right." Ethan's jaw tightened. "We will be ready. We will defend our own first. Then, if the Council still refuses to act, they will learn that ignoring us was a mistake." Laura leaned back and rubbed her eyes. "Humans have a way of surprising everyone. Even when they doubt us, we find a way." The next few days were a blur of activity. Ships moved in tight formations, weapons systems were tested, and communications officers transmitted warnings to nearby colonies. Messages went unanswered or were met with polite but dismissive replies. Some species joked about the small human fleet preparing for a threat they did not understand. Others simply ignored the warnings. Humanity's pleas were lost in a galaxy too confident in its own power. In one of the outer colonies, a young farmer named Luke Harrison looked up at the sky and saw a strange shadow moving across the stars. He had heard of the hollow swarm from Earth broadcasts, but had never believed it would reach his world. Now, as the shadow grew larger, consuming the light of distant stars, he realized it was real. He tried to contact his neighbors, but communications were dead. Within hours, the swarm had arrived, and the colony was gone. Luke and his people vanished, leaving only a cold, silent planet behind. Back in the Fleet Command Center, Ethan received the report. He felt a chill in his chest. "We warned them," he said quietly, "and they still ignored us." Laura nodded. "This is why we cannot wait. If the Council refuses to act, it is up to us." Ethan turned to Ryan. "What can we do?" Ryan pointed to a display showing clusters of ships and weapon arrays. "We can try a coordinated strike. We know the swarm's weaknesses better than anyone else. We can set traps, use gravity pulses, and force it to break apart. But it will be dangerous. Many ships may be lost." Ethan's eyes hardened. Dangerous is something humans understand. We do not fight for glory. We fight to survive, and to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Laura prepared communications messages. "We should at least try to contact some council races again. Maybe this time, if they see what is happening, they will act." Ethan shook his head. "They will not. We have already learned that. But we can try. If they refuse, we act anyway." The fleet moved out from Earth's orbit, heading toward the nearest systems threatened by the swarm. The ships were smaller than the Council's, but humans had speed, intelligence, and determination. They moved in silence, understanding that the galaxy had mocked them for too long. Every officer, every crew member knew that this was their moment. Humanity had been ignored, dismissed, laughed at, and ridiculed, but they would not fail. Weeks passed as the fleet moved closer to the swarm. Reconnaissance drones sent back images of planets stripped bare, moons crushed into dust, and colonies consumed. Every transmission reminded Ethan and Laura of the stakes. Humanity could not lose. Earth could not lose. The galaxy could not ignore them any longer. One night, Ethan stood on the observation deck, staring at the distant shadow of the swarm. Laura joined him, her face pale. "It's worse than we thought," she said. Ethan did not speak. He only watched the dark cloud moving like a predator across space. He thought of all the humans who had lived and died without the Council noticing, of the colonies that would vanish if no one acted. He clenched his fists and whispered, "We will stop it. Even if the galaxy ignores us, we will stop it." Laura nodded, understanding his determination. Humans have a way of proving themselves. Even when everyone doubts them, they find a way. The fleet finally reached the edge of the swarm. Ethan gathered his officers. "This is where we begin. We cannot wait for anyone else. The Council refused to act, but we will. We will protect our colonies and any species that asks for help, but we will not beg them to join us. Humanity acts. Humanity survives." Ryan set up the first weapon arrays, and engineers activated gravity pulse emitters designed to disrupt the swarm's coordinated movement. Laura monitored communications channels, trying once more to contact alien species, but most remained silent. Some sent weak messages of concern, but none committed to action. Humans were alone, small in number, but determined. The first encounter with the swarm was brief, but intense. Drones were destroyed, ships maneuvered around metal tentacles of the swarm, and gravity pulses tore holes in its formations. It was not a full battle yet, but humans learned quickly. They adapted, they moved, and they struck with precision. Ethan watched from the command bridge. They learn, yes, But humans learn faster, he said quietly. We are small, but we are clever. We will survive. Laura smiled faintly. And the galaxy will finally see. They cannot ignore us forever. The swarm pulled back, reforming into a larger mass. It had underestimated humans. They had calculated its patterns, learned its weaknesses, and struck with precision no other species had dared. Ethan knew the fight had just begun, but he also knew that humanity had sent its message. They were not weak, they were not to be ignored, and they were ready to defend themselves and their allies. Days passed, and the fleet continued its defensive maneuvers. Ryan worked non-stop to predict the swarm's next move. Every calculation, every adjustment brought humans closer to understanding the enemy. Ethan and Laura led their teams with calm determination. No one complained, no one faltered. Humans had been ignored for too long. Now they acted with clarity, purpose, and unity. In the silence of space, Ethan spoke to the crew. Remember this. The galaxy may not see us yet. The Council may not respect us. But we know who we are. We know what we can do. And if the Hollow Swarm reaches anyone else, we will be there. We will stop it. Humanity will not be ignored. Laura stood beside him, looking out at the stars. And the galaxy will see us. They will remember this day. The fleet moved forward, into the heart of the swarm. Humanity's first battle was only the beginning. They were small, they were young, and the galaxy had ignored them. But they had a fire within that no alien council could extinguish. Ethan, Laura, Ryan, and every human in the fleet understood one truth. Humans act when others refuse. Humans survive when others doubt, and humans never give up. And so, humanity fought, alone but unbroken, sending a warning to the galaxy that could no longer be ignored. Ethan Cole watched the dark mass of the hollow swarm through the ship's viewports. It moved like a single living thing, black and metallic, shifting and twisting through space. His crew had fought small skirmishes already, but this was something different. This was no single colony or weak outpost. This was a force capable of swallowing entire planets, and it was moving toward populated systems faster than anyone had predicted. Laura Bennett stood beside him, her eyes scanning the readings on the holographic displays. "It's larger than we thought," she said quietly. "It's growing faster. Every planet it absorbs adds more strength to it." Ethan nodded. "Then we have to strike before it reaches the next colonies. We cannot wait for the Council." "They will ignore us again." Ryan Lewis, the young engineer, tapped his fingers nervously on his console. "I've run the numbers again. If we can push our gravity pulses at the right angle, we can break its formation and slow it down. But it's risky. We could lose ships, maybe entire squadrons." Ethan turned to him. "Humans take risks all the time. That's how we survive. Prepare the pulses. We strike at dawn." The fleet gathered in formation near a system that was already being attacked by the swarm. Planets that had once been full of life were now empty shells, metal and dust spinning silently. Ethan's ships moved carefully, avoiding debris while scanning for weaknesses in the swarm's movement. Every second mattered. Every misstep could cost lives. Laura monitored communications channels, trying to contact any nearby species that might still listen. Most channels were silent. A few sent messages of alarm, but no one offered help. Humans were alone in facing this threat. Ethan felt a mix of frustration and pride. The galaxy ignored them, but humans were strong enough to act on their own. At dawn, Ethan gave the order. Gravity pulse emitters fired from the lead ships, sending powerful waves that disrupted the swarm's coordination. The metallic creatures screamed in soundless waves, moving chaotically for the first time. Small human attack ships darted in and out, striking at key points identified by Ryan's calculations. Laura watched the battle unfold. "It's working," she said. It's slowing them down. But the swarm adapted quickly. Its shape changed, wrapping around the pulses, trying to absorb them into its mass. Human ships were destroyed, one by one, as the swarm attacked with overwhelming force. Despite this, the human crews did not falter. They had trained for this, and they acted with speed, precision, and coordination. Ethan gave orders calmly, voice steady over the comm system. Focus on the weak points. Do not waste shots on the center. Concentrate fire where Ryan identifies gaps. Protect each other. We are humans. We survive. The battle raged for hours. Every pulse, every shot, every maneuver was met with resistance. The hollow swarm was relentless, but humans had something no other species relied on: creativity. They adapted faster, predicted movements, and struck when the swarm least expected it. Ryan's calculations paid off. A gap appeared in the swarm's formation, and the lead ships pressed their attack. Energy beams, missiles, and gravity pulses tore through the mass, breaking it apart momentarily. It shrieked in its silent way, spinning pieces into space. Ethan felt a surge of pride. "Hold the line," he said. "Do not let it recover. Push it back." Meanwhile, Laura continued to send communications. "We should alert more colonies," she said. "Even if the Council refuses to act, other races may finally listen now." Ethan shook his head. "They ignored us before. We cannot wait for them. Humanity acts. Humanity survives." The swarm regrouped, larger and more coordinated than before. Human ships struggled to maintain formation, and casualties mounted. Ethan saw young pilots, barely out of training, maneuvering through deadly attacks with skill and courage. Engineers worked tirelessly to repair systems mid-battle. Every human was giving everything they had, and none gave up. Hours passed like days. Finally, Ryan found another weakness, a rhythm in the swarm's movement that could be exploited. "If we fire the pulses in sequence, we can disrupt their central core long enough to destroy a major portion," he explained. Ethan nodded. "Do it. Full attack. Every ship. Every weapon." The fleet fired in perfect timing. Waves of energy tore through the swarm, breaking apart its coordinated structure. Pieces of it drifted into space, spinning harmlessly. The surviving sections retreated, forced to regroup. Human ships were damaged, some destroyed, but the swarm had been stopped. For now. Ethan breathed heavily, relief and exhaustion mixing in his chest. "We did it," he said quietly. Laura smiled, tired but proud. "For now, but they will come back. They always do." Ryan nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. "We learned a lot. Next time we can be faster, more precise. We can prepare better." Ethan looked at the stars, thinking of the council worlds that had ignored every warning. "They will see us soon enough," he said. "We cannot save everyone, but we saved these colonies, and humanity has proven something today. We are not weak. We are not small. We survive when others do not believe in us." After the battle, the fleet moved to regroup. Engineers repaired ships, medical teams treated the wounded, and communications officers sent updates to Earth. News of the victory would inspire humans everywhere. It was a small victory in the grand scale of the galaxy, but it was proof that humans could stand against impossible odds. Ethan walked through the command center, watching the crew. Each person worked tirelessly, motivated not by glory but by duty. They were young, they were small, they were human, but they had courage, they had skill, they had determination. The galaxy might ignore them, laugh at them, dismiss them, but they acted, and action was something no one could ignore for long. Laura joined him quietly. "Do you think the council will finally pay attention?" she asked. Ethan shook his head. "Not yet. They are proud. They think they are above us. But one day they will have no choice. Humanity cannot be ignored forever." As the fleet returned to safe systems, The survivors of the battle shared their stories. Young pilots who had faced death and returned, engineers who had repaired critical systems under fire, and scientists who had predicted the swarm's movements, all were celebrated quietly among humans. They had acted when the galaxy did not, and that was their triumph. Days later, Ethan and Laura monitored communications channels again. Messages from alien systems trickled in, some expressing awe, some expressing fear, and some still refusing to believe. The Council continued to be silent officially, but whispers began to spread across the galaxy. Humans had stopped the swarm, even if they were ignored before. That fact could not be hidden forever. Ryan worked late into the night, analyzing the data from the battle. "They are learning from us too," he said. "The swarm adapts. It will come back. We need new strategies, new weapons." Ethan nodded. "And we will have them. Humans do not give up. We fight, we adapt, and we survive." Laura smiled faintly. "They will remember this, even if they do not admit it now. They will remember humans were the ones who stood against the hollow swarm when no one else would." Ethan walked to the observation deck, staring at the distant stars. The galaxy was large and indifferent. The Council had ignored humanity. Most species still laughed at them quietly. But humans had acted. They had faced impossible odds and survived. That was proof enough. He spoke quietly, almost to himself. "The galaxy may not respect us yet. They may still doubt us, but they will see. They will learn that humans are not weak. They will learn that when the galaxy faces danger, humans act. We do not wait. We survive." Laura joined him silently. Together, they watched the stars. Humanity had taken its first step into the larger galaxy. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. The Council had ignored them. Other species had mocked them. But humans had shown what they could do. And soon, the galaxy would have no choice but to take notice. The fleet prepared to move again, stronger and wiser. Every human on board carried the same understanding. They had faced a threat the galaxy ignored, and they had survived. They were young, they were small, they were human, and that was enough to make the galaxy tremble. Ethan turned to Laura and Ryan. "We will continue. We will defend what is ours, and the galaxy will see. Humanity is not weak. Humanity cannot be ignored. Humanity survives." The three of them stood together, watching the stars, knowing that the galaxy's indifference had finally met its first challenge, and humanity would not stop until the galaxy had learned the lesson.